What are some of the myths that you can dispel to kind of help us get in the right track in terms of what we should be doing?
Well, the biggest one is that we're taught that our health is complicated. And our current medical model it complicates it on purpose, and it separates us. It separates, think about all the specialties that doctors go into. And the people in the medical profession are good people. Our medical profession is taught to separate everything. We have an ear, nose, and throat doctor. We have an OBGYN. We have someone who only takes care of our back and someone who only takes care of our brain. But really, we are holistic. And I think the biggest myth is that health is complicated. In reality, our health is simple. Being healthy is our birthright. This is how we're designed for vibrant health.
Hi, I'm Lennis Woods Mullins, and I love to help women to vibe, to be more vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and empowered in midlife. So come on, let's vibe. Have you ever had that experience where you meet someone and immediately you say, "Oh, yes, I'm so glad you're on the planet"? That's exactly what my experience was with Jane Barlow Christensen. She is amazing. She's an herbologist. And the reason why I am so excited about having her on the podcast is that I really want people to understand the importance of the idea of food as medicine and how herbs can even enhance your eating experience and help you medicinally. You don't always have to depend on dropping a pill or, God forbid, getting something cut off to be well. There are so many things we can do preventatively and also things that we can do when we do get sick that really falls in the land of Jane Barlow Christensen, who is an herbologist. It's so wonderful to have you here today. Welcome to the V.I.B.E Living Podcast.
Thank you, Linus. I'm so excited to be here. You're right. We totally clicked from the very beginning. And
Yes.
it's like, oh, you're in my tribe. Okay.
Yeah, I know. And I'm so always looking for my tribe because sometimes you talk about these things, people are like, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, my husband, when I go into the grocery store, he'll say things like, "Now, Lennis, can we just go and shop without hearing about why we shouldn't get this or why we should get that? I mean, can we just I get it, but I'm just so passionate about it because I see what is happening when it comes to our overall health because of depleted healthy food supplies or because of the cost of organics and people not wanting to expend that much, not understanding that you either pay for it on the front end or the back end. So tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be so passionate about plants and herbs and how they can help us to be well.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm in a really, really lucky category because I fell into this just because of the family that I was born into.
Mhm.
So my dad, his degree was in medicinal botany. So he was a botanist, and he was just one of those people that he loved and understood everything about plants. He was intrigued by what made certain plants be medicine for humans. And he had a real special love for Native American plants. And he studied that extensively. But because he loved that, and this is what he did, we grew up this way. So I grew up in the 60s and 70s. I'm second oldest of 14 kids. So,
Oh my God, which is your mom.
yeah, well, it's really true. But here's the thing, they met in college, and my mom said to my dad when they were dating, "I want a dozen kids." So she knew from the beginning that she wanted to have a large family. And so she had 11. And then my parents adopted 3 Native American children when they were 4, 3, and 2. And I was 4. So we got these siblings who were full-blooded Eastern Shoshone. They grew up with us. They were just our siblings, but that put it to 14. So we grew up in a time where fast food was really becoming big, junk food, soda, of course, and we were so deprived because we didn't get to do any of that. We didn't, we didn't get to eat fast food. We hardly ever went out to eat in restaurants just because you don't take a family of 10 out to you just don't do that.
Yeah.
We had a big garden, and what would happen when we were growing up is my dad would be driving somewhere. My dad would see a plant that he would want to teach us about that might be in just the perfect bloom or the perfect type of year to collect it. But he would pull over, we would all scramble out, and he would be like, this is the part of the plant you use. This is the common name. This is the botanical name. You make it. And it was a short, easy to understand for a bunch of little kids, but this was just normal for us. And then as we got older, of course, it would be like, we'd roll our eyes like, oh my gosh, seriously, this is, okay, Dad. And then as adults, we realized what a massive gift this was. So he formulated a bunch of herbal remedies that he was very well known for. I believe he was very ahead of his time, but really he was part of human beings have always been taking care of themselves with plant medicine. In fact, most of the world still uses plant medicine first. We're the odd ones, the people in the Western world where we turn to drugs. And so I grew up with this, and my dad passed away 27 years ago, and I've restarted his company after he passed away, and that's what I do. So,
Well, that's such an amazing story.
yeah.
There's something about being able to carry on something that started with a previous generation and to honor it and then to add to it, which is so amazing and should be inspiring to everyone who's listening to this podcast. I challenge you, what is it about your family legacy that you want to carry on? Because you really want to be thinking about that. When it comes to plants, we were right before we came on, we were chatting about busting some of the myths that are out there. And I mentioned, in general, that we really would like to get to a place in this country where we are acting preventatively and using our food as medicine and sourcing our food differently, where it really adds value. But we're not quite there yet. And part of that is because of some of the myths that are out there. What are some of the myths that you can dispel to kind of help us get in the right track in terms of what we should be doing?
Well, the biggest one is that we're taught that our health is complicated. And our current medical model it complicates it on purpose, and it separates us. It separates, think about all the specialties that doctors go into. And the people in the medical profession are good people. I have a sister who's a nurse. She's been a nurse for 30 years. But because she grew up the way I did, she has a different perspective as she's walked through her career, and she's been able to actually care for people. She's a labor and delivery nurse. So she's
Oh,
in when people are coming in,
perfect,
it's
perfect. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that our medical profession is taught to separate everything. We have an ear, nose, and throat doctor. We have an OBGYN. We have someone who only takes care of our back and someone who only takes care of our brain. But really, we are holistic. And I think the biggest myth is that health is complicated. In reality, our health is simple. Being healthy is our birthright. This is how we're designed for vibrant health. I mean, think about this, Linus. If you think about the normal modern human, we eat food that's not good for us. We drink the wrong things. We don't exercise enough. We don't get enough sunshine, whatever. And we still are alive. And we still, actually, most of us thrive. So
Right.
when you start to give your body the right tools, and it's not complicated, but it's been made complicated on purpose to confuse us. So I think a myth is that if you get something that's a health issue, it's scary and it's complicated. That's one of the biggest myths I think people need to realize it's not.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
And also that the only way that you can fix it is if you do this, this, and this involves taking pharmaceuticals and pills. And let me say, I am not anti-doctor. I have some
yeah,
doctors who are my clients that I work with in terms of
yeah,
helping their patients, because the way our patient care system is right now, it's very difficult for doctors to spend a lot of quality time with their
yeah,
patients. And it's not that they don't want to, it's just the way it's managed. And more doctors are realizing that they want to be more integrative and they want to be able to do some things. But to do that requires amassing a lot of knowledge within a short period of time, of which they have none. And so that's why people like you are so important. Now, as you know, this podcast is designed to really help women over 40, 50, and beyond to vibe, to be more vibrant, more intuitive, beautiful. And I'm talking about that inner beauty radiating out, and empowered to embrace this aging process and to live a great midlife. What are some of the like go-tos or tips that you share with women in this age group that they need to be doing when it comes to herbs? What kind of herbs should they like be looking for in the grocery stores, and how should they be using them? What are your like maybe top five that you think they need to have?
Yeah, that is a great question because this is where it does get overwhelming for people. They're like, oh, I'd really,
Right, right.
I'd love to learn about herbs and how do I incorporate them, but there's so much out there,
There's
and a lot of people aren't raised with this, and they're intimidated by it. So what I would say the best place to start is in your kitchen spice cupboard. Think about the herbs that you cook with. So I think everyone should have cayenne pepper in their spice cabinet.
okay. So far, I got that. Okay.
Okay. And the reason I'll give a really brief is it's really good for digestion. It's really good for your metabolism. And my favorite thing is it's really good for your heart and your vascular system. I watched my dad when I was 14 years old stop a heart attack on an elderly person in our community with cayenne pepper tincture. I stopped his heart attack within, it was about 60 seconds. So, and then of course he still went to the doctor and everything was fine. But I was 14 years old and I witnessed this with cayenne pepper. So cayenne pepper is one of those things, if you don't like it in heat form, like to use in your food, take it in a capsule, take it in supplement form. Turmeric.
Okay, got
Turmeric,
that.
yeah, turmeric is great for inflammation and pain. It's got anti-cancer properties. It's got antioxidant properties. It's again good for digestion. That's one of the things that I think has been very popular the last few years too.
Yeah.
People are realizing, oh, turmeric, it's good
It's
to
kind of
cook
like
with.
the end thing, the end spice
It
right now. Yeah.
is, and it should be. It should be. I also love holy basil.
Hmm.
Holy basil is something that is easy to get. You can grow it in your herb garden. It's in the mint family, but holy basil is what's known as an adaptogen. And as people or women, especially once you start getting older, we all know our hormones change. And as just women in general, every month, even a young woman, our hormones are changing every single month. So holy basil is something that's absolutely delicious as a tea. It's super, super easy to get. And you can even cook with it because it adds really nice flavors to your food.
It's a nice minty flavor. Yeah.
It's a rich aromatic. It's in the mint family, but it doesn't have a minty flavor.
Yeah, to me, you can
You
get it in the
can.
tea form as well.
Yeah, and that's my favorite way because my husband is the cook and he doesn't really cook with like the holy basil is not part of the cooking. But yes, if you're cooking with it and the fresh leaves especially,
Hmm.
you're going to get a big power punch of amazing flavor and amazing health benefits. But it
Yeah.
balances your body chemistry. So
Mm.
and basically your hormones. It helps if your hormones are too high or they're too low. That's what adaptogenic herbs do. And that one is really, really easy to grow or to get. So holy basil for sure. And then something like ginkgo. Ginkgo is something for brain health, oxygen and circulation to your brain. It also improves full body circulation. And it is an easy supplement to get. It's a little harder to grow because it's a tree.
Hmm.
But it is, I have a sister with a big,
Well, I'm
beautiful
glad you
ginkgo
mentioned.
tree.
I'm glad you mentioned the ginkgo because there was a big that was a few years ago. It was a big craze for ginkgo biloba.
Yeah.
Everybody was getting it and everything else. But my concern was is the sourcing it. How do you know you're getting a good ginkgo? Is there a way to tell or?
Yeah, that's such a good question. That's a very important question. So my go-to with any herb or supplement that I get is first of all, I stay away from the big box stores, unfortunately, because so what you want to look for is every company that makes a supplement should be able to provide what's called a COA, which stands for Certificate of Analysis. And when an herb is taken, put to a supplement, it should go through a really comprehensive lab test that tests for, is it the right species? And is it clean of microbes and heavy metals? And if it passes that test, and then it goes through the process of being made into like capsules or a tincture or something like that, then they test it again and it ends with a COA that you should be able to get from any company. So it takes a little bit of due diligence. People might have to do a little bit of research and and search out those companies that you can trust. And you should be able to get them to send you, if they can't send you a certificate of analysis, if you just say COA, I would
You
not
would wonder
purchase from
about
them.
that. Yeah. It
Yeah.
makes me wonder about a couple of popular ones that are out there that I'm sure people are buying and thinking it's okay. And I'm going to test it. I'm going to ask them to send me a COA.
Well,
Yeah.
not just that, really an important thing is to look at what the ingredients are, because it might say something like organic rice flour, and you might
Mm,
think, oh, it's organic and it's rice, it's okay, but that is a filler. That's just
mm,
filling up room in a capsule. And
okay.
so you want to look for percentage, like, so we make some capsule things and we don't use any fillers. Zero fillers. You should get what you get. If
Mhm.
like we do a capsule product for heart health called Heart Love. It has cayenne pepper, cinnamon, and slippery elm, and it's in an
Mm,
organic veggie cap. There's
mhm.
nothing else. So if you're getting something with good ingredients like turmeric and cinnamon, but then it says things like organic rice flour or things like that, you're just getting a bunch of filler because it's super cheap. But your brain goes, oh, it's organic, and you might get something
Yeah,
that's not going to hurt you.
I just saw something the other day, organic chips. Really? Do they grow out of the ground? Do you know any chip trees? It just drives me crazy. Organic corn chips.
Yeah, in Willy Wonka land, they might grow on a tree.
I mean, organic, that is the most processed food you could get. But yet, and
Yeah,
still they're calling it organic and they get away with it. Drives me crazy. And what's
yeah,
the other
yeah.
herb? That was four.
Yeah, so I would say, believe it or not, garlic.
Oh, that's so interesting. I was just listening to something today. My husband is an avid YouTube listener on all things herbs and everything like that because
Yeah.
he's actually he's using your book to grow our garden. We had a few things in our herb garden. Now we're adding more, and he was listening to about garlic. It has so many great benefits.
People don't realize that the things that we're used to using in our kitchen and in our cooking is adding some really beautiful medicinal benefits. Like, so a lot of people are already doing it and they just don't maybe realize it.
Right. My favorite combination is ginger and garlic and onions, along with whatever vegetable I'm,
Oh,
stir
yeah.
frying or whatever. It just
Oh, yeah.
it really tastes great. Now, 15 years ago, I would have been like, oh no, garlic, I can't stand the smell or whatever. But it's so good for you that you learn to kind of get past all of that. I have to tell everybody, for those of you who are listening uh, on Apple, or some of you might be actually watching this on YouTube, but this is a wonderful book. It's Jane's book of healthy habits. I love this book. She sent it to me. I was so excited. I felt like it was Christmas morning. There's just so much great information in here, and it's easy to read. But the other thing that's just beautiful is this book you wrote with your dad. You did write this with your dad, right? Be
No, so
your
my dad wrote a book when I was in high school,
uh-huh.
and it was called From the Shepherd's Purse, and it had 48 plants in it.
Hmm.
So he passed away 27 years ago, and we've been having people ask us, "You need to republish your dad's book. You need to republish," and it needed to be updated. So I
Hmm.
took the original 48 plants and I doubled the content, and I changed all the pictures, I updated them, I changed all the illustrations. So
It's
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah,
It's Be Your Own Shaman, a field guide to utilize 94 You did double of the world's most healing plants. It is wonderful. And this is what my husband's been using to figure out what can grow in our herb garden. Right now we have dill, basil. What else do we have? Not ginger, rosemary, and we've got a lot of kale. We also, that's not an herb though. We also have, let's see, one other one, slippery elm.
oh,
Yeah, he got it. He figured out how to grow that, which is really he has a pretty green thumb. So we're just beginning. But boy, do we have a whole bunch of rosemary. Anybody want to come by my house and get some rosemary? Please come and get it. But we have lavender too. I use the lavender as part of my skincare regime because I have a machine that helps extract the oils from the seeds, and I use that for part of my cleanser. And that's interesting because um herbs can be used in our food, but they also can be used in other ways as well. I have found so many uses for lavender. I mean, like I said, I use it for my skin. I use a concoction of coconut oil, avocado oil, and olive oil mixed in with essential oils, including lavender. And that's the only thing that I use. And I'll be 68 in about 5 months. I'm counting down now, Jay.
When's your
Wow.
birthday? I wonder if we have the
It's
same
in
month.
June. It's in June.
Okay, mine's in May.
Yours
So
in okay, close. Oh, mine's June 3rd. When is yours?
May 14th, and
Okay.
I'll be 64. So
Okay, you'll be 60. Yeah, like unbelievable. You do not look 60. She doesn't look 64 at all, Vibers,
you
if you
don't
can't
look
see
almost
her.
68 either. Like, hello.
Okay, so we are the 60 sisters, okay? We're putting a whole new definition to what 60 is all about. But I think a lot of that has to do with our lifestyles. And when people ask me about my skin or my weight or whatever, it really is a holistic approach, mind, body, spirit. But the very first thing is just to begin to be aware that you want to
Yeah,
make some changes and begin to
yeah.
make incremental changes. Like she said, doing the whole herb thing, it can be overwhelming because there's so much that's out there. But I love the fact that you gave us five that are really have great uses. In terms of incorporating them in our lifestyle, what kinds of different ways can we incorporate herbs in our lifestyle besides just with cooking?
So teas, I think really good teas are a great way to incorporate herbs. If you're like, say you're a coffee drinker, which is fine. I like coffee too.
Me
But if you
too.
drink 3 or 4 cups of coffee every day, change one of them out for a cup of tea. Dandelion root tea is really good for nourishing and detoxing your liver. And it tastes really good. So you can, in fact, one of my favorite blends is dandelion and chicory. In fact, chicory is actually a coffee substitute so it doesn't have any caffeine, but it's really good for your liver. So I would say the first thing to do is to start changing out some of your drinks during the day. That's the easiest. And then really start thinking about what is it that what are you looking for? Like when I just before I turned 50, I thought I need to start doing something supplement wise to take care of my brain. And we make a tincture of ginkgo. And so I thought, well, I need to start taking ginkgo, but I felt like I needed to do something else. So I started researching a bunch of herbs for brain health. So I think what people need to do is think, what do they need? Like, what in your life? Do you need more energy? Do you need better digestion? And then do a search. Like, what is like cayenne pepper improves your digestion. So you can add cayenne pepper to your sprinkle a little bit here and there on your eggs or even on your salad or on your chicken or whatever it is that you eat. You can always, or you can sprinkle some or put cayenne pepper tincture into your water and just drink it down in the morning. It opens up your digestion, wakes up your metabolism. So good for your heart. So
You
I
know
would
what I
just
do with my
say,
cayenne pepper?
what do you do?
I add a little bit of cayenne pepper to my coffee in the morning.
No, I know people who add it to their chocolate, like hot
Yeah,
chocolate
yeah.
or cacao. Like if you do a cacao ceremony, that's
Mm-hmm.
perfect.
Yeah, it does really help. I've noticed that I've had some interesting digestive things as I've gotten older. It reminds me of my dad. My, we used to always make fun of my dad because we're like, okay, we're clearing the room now, Dad. Do your thing and then let us know when we can come back. Well, now here I am. I'm my dad. My husband sometimes in the middle of the night will wake up, lettuce. Yeah. I said, okay, I
Well,
got to start figuring out. And so I started using the cayenne, and that, really helped quite a bit. And you know what? I figured out what the other herb was and why I think basil, holy basil, might taste like mint. We are growing mint in the backyard,
okay.
and there
Oh,
might have been some cross pollination.
oh, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Well, and
because mint's
everyone's
very
taste buds are different.
strong.
It is. And
Yeah.
everyone's taste buds are a little different too.
Mm-hmm,
And there's
mm-hmm.
nuances to where it grows and what the soil is like. So the soil
Yes.
where I'm in Utah might
Mm-hmm,
be
mm-hmm.
different than the soil well, it is different in California as compared to
Yes.
the East Coast or whatever.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah,
all these things do make a difference. But
yeah.
I think the main thing is that, you start small. We started our little herb garden about 6 years ago with getting that little rosemary plant, which is now overtaken my patio. Just a little rosemary plant. You would not believe how big it is now. And we use the rosemary for everything and we give it away as gifts. Please take the rosemary. but it's wonderful to cook with. It's a great antibiotic. It helps
It
with
is.
raising your immune system. So we love it. But yeah,
Yeah.
just start small. Something
Yeah.
that your taste buds like that can also have medicinal quality. Because almost nine times out of ten, most herbs have some kind of medicinal value.
Oh, they do almost everything. In fact, you could take some of your rosemary and make a rosemary tincture,
Mm.
and you could just put a couple drops in with your coffee and your cayenne,
Hmm.
and you would add a pop of, and I could teach you easy how to make a tincture.
You
It's
know what?
super easy.
I was going to ask you about the tinctures because a while back when I was at a farmer's market, I got a tincture which was excellent and lasted almost, God, close to a year because you just need just a little bit of it. I can't remember what it
Yeah.
was now,
Yeah.
but please tell everybody what a tincture is just in case they don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's such a good question. So herbal tinctures, if you go to the purest sense of what a tincture is, it's an alcohol extraction of herbs. So you take usually as high proof as you can get. A lot of people just go get like vodka or Everclear.
Mhm.
And like I make my own vanilla extract. You just get vanilla beans. You slice it down the middle so it opens it up so you have the seed and the inside of the pods. You
Mhm.
put it in a bottle. They have these really cool bottles of vodka with a kind of a cool snap top on top. And
Mhm.
you let it sit in the vodka. You shake it once a day, and 30 days later, you have the most pure, delicious vanilla extract. So
Wow.
yeah, super easy. So a tincture is alcohol based. And then after it's been curing for 30 days or however long you want to go, you filter out the material, the herb material, like through a cheesecloth or some kind of filtering. And then you have a clear liquid. It's not really clear, but it's whatever color the herb is.
Right. Mhm.
And what it does is it gives you a really potent, really long shelf life tincture, like a tincture without any water or glycerin. That's actually called an extract. When you start going into
Yes.
extracting with water or
Mhm.
glycerin, then you have a tincture, you have an extract, but they're liquid and your body can absorb it right away. Nothing has to digest or break down. It's just so that's a tincture, alcohol based. An extract, you either do water or glycerin and some, maybe a little bit of alcohol, and then you've got the
Yeah,
drug.
when we're doing the essential oils with the lavender, we
Yeah,
use the alcohol to extract the
right,
lavender, and
right.
it smells so good. And another
Oh,
thing I love with lavender, I just go outside or my patio by the lavender's by the pool, and I just go and
yeah.
get some snips and put it in my pillow, out like that. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
out. I
No,
love
that's
it.
so perfect. And so that's so easy. I love that you do that.
Yeah, it's very easy. The only thing is that, over time it dries and then the seeds get out, it gets all yucky and, but it's worth it to me because part of the challenge as I was getting older and going through the whole hormonal imbalance and menopause and everything else was, sleeping for 2 hours, up for 1 hour, sleeping for 2 hours, up for 1 hour. Then I finally got, the idea of getting these sprigs of lavender and putting them underneath my pillow. And I got the idea because I went to a lavender farm. And as we were going into the area where the lavender farm was, everybody was just like, all calm and, we're like, what is that? And they were like, it's the farm. It's like, oh, wow. And the lady was talking about, how impactful lavender can be and how you can use it. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try. So I got some lavender, grew it, which it's like now we have big old bowl full of it. I mean, my goodness. And then I started cutting, put it under the pillow, and it really does work. And the other thing is that a lot of people may not realize that just like flowers and other kinds of plants, there are seasons that they grow well. And can you give us some ideas? Like, for instance, this is we're recording this in the winter months. I don't know when people might be listening to it, but what's a good herb to start growing maybe in the winter months?
Well, you've got something like garlic, which is a bulb, and the people will plant it in the fall, the late fall, and then the bulb will, it's like a tulip, but the garlic bulb is in the ground, and then when the spring comes, so it sits under the soil all winter,
Mhm.
and then in the spring, that's when it'll start to grow. It's
Okay.
just like potatoes, potatoes. I grew up in Idaho and we used always had potatoes that we grew in our gardens. And, you plant them, actually you plant those in the spring, but I don't know, winter herbs are a little tough. Like where I live, we have a rosemary plant too, but we bring it inside in the winter. So
Hmm.
it's in a pot and we bring it inside. Things like, basil you can keep in a pot in your kitchen all summer. I think it's
Well,
a
yeah,
little
that's the good
harder.
thing about herbs is that you can have a kitchen herb garden.
Yes.
I have a friend that has one in New York in her kitchen, and
Yeah.
it's she has quite a bit. So there's just so this is what you have to do, everybody. You have to just get her book, and she talks to you all about it. Jane's book of Healthy Habits, Health Made Simple, and also Be Your Own Shaman. Both of them they can get on Amazon, correct? Can you?
So just the Be Your Own Shaman you can get on
Okay,
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay, and this they can get direct from you.
Yeah, it's just at barlowherbal.com.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do is we have your website and all your social media that's in the show page. Everybody, I always tell you this, but I'm really serious. Click on the information on the show page and go and order one of these or both of them because it will change your life in terms of how you look at what you eat. And also, it's just so interesting. It really can be kind of addictive after a while because next thing you know, you want to learn more about this and about that. And the other thing is that you have your own group of products and things that you produce. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my dad, he was younger than I am right now when he passed away. He was only 62. And
Hmm.
yeah, and his business kind of died with him, but I restarted his company with a small group of really powerful herbal tinctures that he only sold to doctors. He was never out in the public and retailing, but so I have the group that my of tinctures, mostly tinctures of my dad's, and then I've added a group of other things that it mostly evolved because it's like, well, I'm looking for something for myself to take, or someone in my family, or one of my sisters with 7 kids needs this. And so I would formulate, and I never knew it would be me that would be carrying on my dad's work, but I'm grateful. But so now I have a beautiful line of things that, my grandkids take and my siblings.
Definitely, definitely
Awesome.
go to her website and check out her products, check out her book, follow her on social media. Begin that process of making some changes that are going to add a lot of value to your life. Jane, thank you so much for being on the Vibe Living podcast. It's been wonderful having you here today.
Thank you, Linus. You are adorable.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to all of you who've been listening. I am so happy that you found us because I know there's 50 million podcasts out there, but thank you for making us in the top 8% podcast in the world, which means we're probably like number 200,000. But hey, it's something. And if you really liked our podcast, please go ahead, like and share and comment and subscribe so you don't miss any more episodes because we have some really wonderful things out there that are going to help you to be well in your mind, body, and spirit and help you to vibe, to be more vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and empowered along your journey to midlife. Thanks so much for listening, and don't forget to vibe. Bye bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Vibe Living Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share this podcast. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to vibe. Bye bye, everybody.